Hello everyone, welcome to Chess Basics. My name is Arvind. In this video we will see 7 deadly traps in the Sicilian defense that can be played by white. At the beginner level, e4 is always met with e5, but the most popular response to e4 at the intermediate and grandmaster level is c5, the Sicilian defense. So new Sicilian defense players may not be aware of all these traps, so worth learning these 7 traps. Let's begin with the first one. e4, c5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, queen b6. All this is very normal. Knight c3, defending the bishop, knight d4. Black played knight d4 with the idea that if knight takes on d4, then pawn takes d4. Now the knight on c3 is attacked. White can play knight d5. This comes with the attack on the queen. You might feel that black can grab the bishop, but if queen takes bishop, knight c7 check is very annoying. This forks the king and the queen. King d8, knight takes queen. So taking the bishop is not an option. The best move for black is queen d6. However, if black plays queen d8, queen h5, a6, attacking the bishop, again the best move is knight f6 because the knight on d5 is very dangerous. You have to remove it first. So instead of knight f6, if a6 is played, then queen e5. White can ignore the attack on the bishop because if a takes on b5, then knight c7 check is again very annoying. The king has nowhere left to go and the queen has to take the knight. Queen takes knight, queen takes queen. So here black doesn't have time to grab the bishop. If black plays f6, attacking the queen, still knight c7 check. The king has to move. King f7, queen d5 check. If e6, knight takes e6. The pawn on d7 is pinned. If pawn takes knight, then queen takes queen. Black can grab the bishop. However, being down the queen is losing for black. Here, instead of d takes on c6, if black plays queen e7, then knight c7 check. This opens up a discovered check. If queen e6, then bishop c4, queen takes d6, bishop takes d6 with check, king g6, knight takes a8. Here white can also grab the queen with the knight. Going back to this position, if king g6, then queen f5 check, king f7, bishop c4 check. Now black has to give up the queen. Queen e6, bishop takes e6, d takes e6. Again, this is losing for black. Let's look at another trap. e4, c5, c3, preparing for d4, knight f6. It is totally fine to attack the knight on f6, e5. If knight d5, then you play bishop c4, still attacking the knight. Knight f4, queen f3, attacking the knight. The best move for black is knight e6. Instead of knight e6, if black plays knight g6, then queen takes on f7 is mate. Going back, knight e6 prevents the attack of the bishop on the f7 pawn, also provides a safe square for the knight. But knight g6 loses immediately to queen takes on f7 mate. Let's look at another trap. To become a good chess player, you must be able to recognize patterns in chess. It is not just important to learn a trap, it is very important to recognize the pattern that the trap follows. The next 5 traps are all based on the same pattern. So if you are able to recognize the pattern, you will be able to execute this trap in several different move orders or at different stages of the game. Let's start with the first trap. e4, c5, d4. This is the Smith-Morra gambit. C takes on d4, c3 offering the second pawn, d takes on c3, knight takes on c3, d6, bishop c4, g6. This is the basis of the trap. This is the pattern that we should be able to recognize because our trap starts here. White pushes e5. If d takes on e5, the d file is opened. The queens are staring at each other. Feel free to pause the video and find the winning move for white. If you are able to find it, well done. for everyone else, the winning move is bishop takes on f7 with check. The king can't go to d2 because it is guarded by the white's queen. The king has to take the bishop. King takes on f7. Now the black's queen is unguarded. Queen takes queen. Let's look at another trap with slightly different move order. e4, c5, d4, c takes on d4, c3, d takes on c3, knight takes c3, d6, bishop c4. And the earlier trap, black played g6, but here knight f6. Again, it's the same pattern, e5. If d takes on e5, bishop takes on f7 with check, the king has to take, queen takes queen. White is up a queen for a bishop and winning the game. Here black should not take the pawn, instead play knight fd7. Let's look at another trap with the same pattern. e4, c5, d4, c takes on d4, c3, d takes on c3, knight takes c3, d6, knight f3. This is a slightly different move order. Instead of bishop c4, knight f3 is played, knight f6, bishop c4, knight c6. This is almost the same pattern, but there are slight variations, and the move order is also very important here. e5. If knight takes on e5, then knight takes e5. Again, the pawn should not capture the knight. If d takes on e5, the d file is now open. Bishop takes on f7 with check. The king has to take. Queen takes queen. Going back, here instead of knight takes on e5, if d takes e5, the same trap doesn't work, because now if knight takes on e5, knight takes e5. Now if bishop takes on f7, the knight will simply take it. And if you notice, white is down two pieces, a bishop and a knight. Here queen takes queen will be met by knight takes queen. White can get his pawn back, e6. White doesn't have any advantage here to play for. So the move order is also important, but being able to recognize the pattern will help you win the game. Let's look at another trap, the same pattern. e4, c5, d4, c takes on d4, c3, d takes on c3, knight takes c3, knight c6, knight f3, g6. Black is planning to feint cadeau its dark squared bishop, bishop c4, knight a5, attacking the bishop. Here you don't go bishop b3, instead bishop takes on f7 with check, king takes f7, queen d4. This comes with the attack on the rook, bishop g7, blocking, knight g5 check. King has to go to f8 to guard the bishop. Instead of f8, if king goes to e8, then the queen will simply take the bishop. So king f8, but this loses to knight e6 check. Again, the pawn on d7 is pinned. If d takes on e6, queen takes queen with check, king f7, queen takes a5. Totally winning for white. Going back to this position, instead of d takes on e6, black can also play king e8. White shouldn't take the queen, because if knight takes queen, then bishop takes queen. There is no way to get the white knight out. Now white would be down two pieces and losing the game. So here if king e8, then first queen takes on g7. Now if d takes on e6, queen can grab the rook. Let's look at another trap, again with similar pattern. e4, c5, knight f3. This is not the Smith-Morra gambit, but the same trap can be also played. So again, the pattern recognition is very important. Knight c6, d4, c takes on d4, knight takes d4, knight f6, attacking the pawn on e4, knight c3, defending the pawn on e4, d6, bishop c4. Again, we have arrived at the position where the pattern can be executed, g6. First we have to remove the knight on c6, knight takes c6, b takes c6, now e5. The knight has to go to d7. Instead, if d takes on e5, then again bishop takes on f7 with check. The king has to take. Queen takes queen, winning the game. So a good trap is where you are able to recognize a pattern and are able to execute it in different move orders. So to become a good chess player, learning the trap is not just important, you should be able to recognize the pattern that the trap is based on so that you are able to execute it in different move orders as well as in different stages of the game. Hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, please hit the like button and also share it with your family and friends. I wish you all the best in trying out these traps in your gameplay or avoid falling for it. If you're new here, consider subscribing. I make more such videos on a regular basis. You can also follow Chess Basics on Facebook. We'll leave a link in the description below so that you don't miss out on future updates. Also check out my other videos to learn some cool traps in chess. Thank you for watching and I'll see you all in my next video.